Hey guys, welcome back. We're looking at section 3 of chapter 26, China Today. Our big idea for this section: China's economy and cities are growing rapidly, but the Chinese have little political freedom and face many environmental problems. Our essential questions for this section: how does China's government control life and limit political freedom? How is China's growth in industry connected to its growing urban population? And what are two major environmental problems facing China today? Remember, the essential questions are answered in your book notes summary. Our entrance ticket questions: what is a command economy? What are two ways in which Hong Kong and Macau are similar? And what is one way Beijing is trying to curb smog to improve air quality? A hint: make sure you watch the video. Remember to submit your entrance ticket via Schoology. So, when a communist government took over China in 1949, it began to strictly control all areas of life. Over time, China's government has loosened control of the economy, but control over politics and other areas of life remain very strict throughout the country. So essential question 1, how does China's government control life and limit political freedom? Within their economy, there's a difference between a market and a command economy, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year. Market economy, you're free to choose your career, what to sell, and keep any profits you earn. A command economy, the government owns all the businesses and makes all the decisions for the citizens within the country. Early on, China operated a command economy, but they have loosened control and now work within a mixed economy as a result of the economic problems they were facing. Within agriculture and industry, more Chinese work in farming than any other industry. Main farmlands are in the eastern valleys and river plains, and we would recognize that from our physical geography maps. Only 15% of the land is good for farming, so a large workforce allows the land to be worked at a high level. Due to rapid industrial growth through industry and manufacturing, they've become the most profitable part of their economy. Results of this growth then: improve wages and standard of living, but this has not reached all rural areas and unemployment does remain high. Keep in mind, economic freedom does not equal political freedom. The communist government controls most areas of life, and this would include newspapers and internet access. If you're living in China, you can't just get on Google and search anything you want. The government regulates and controls a lot of areas and aspects of life as it relates to technology and digital access. There's a harsh punishment for those who oppose the government. One example of this: in 1989, 100,000 pro-democracy supporters gathered in Tiananmen Square in Beijing. The government used troops and tanks to disperse the crowds, and eventually hundreds of protesters were killed, and many more were injured and/or imprisoned. Some of you may have seen this picture before. A Chinese man is temporarily blocking a line of tanks on June 5th, 1989. A day after the demonstrations, he became known as Tank Man. They also have carried out harsh action against ethnic rebellion. They crushed the Tibetan revolt of 1959, and this forced Tibet's Buddhist leader to flee to India. The Dalai Lama. You often see Hollywood actors and people in that industry wanting to free Tibet, as it were. Essential question 2, how is China's growth in industry connected to its growing urban population? So rural China is home to most of the Chinese population. We do know that cities are growing rapidly, though. Farmers work the fields using the same old century practices. As we can see from the picture, tiered farming for their main crop, which is rice. There's often a big disconnect to the modern world for a lot of these farmers. Urban China, though, there's rapid growth, and this equals more population moving to urban areas. This can create other problems, though. Urban centers are mostly located along the East Coast. The largest city is Shanghai with 15 million people. Beijing, home to the capital of China. Hong Kong and Macau are both major ports and centers of trade and tourism. Both of these cities were once European colonies as well. So, looking at the graph, China's projected urban population, we see roughly 2015, we'll start to see a decline in the rural population and an increase in urban population. So we're starting to see that now. And the picture on the right just reflects the rapid building that is occurring in the major population centers. Essential question 3. What are two major environmental problems facing China today? So they have 3 big environmental concerns. Economic and urban growth have created some serious environmental problems. Pollution, loss of forest land, or deforestation. And then we'll talk about some of the solutions that they're working to present. So the pollution comes about increased due to more cars and factories, use of coal for electricity. This creates smog. It affects air quality as well. You often see on the news that planes can't even fly because the smog is so thick. So with deforestation, trees are cut down and not replaced. They don't practice reforestation. The growth and expansion of cities is using up the best farmland in China, so eventually they'll face food issues, how to feed all the people that are living there. Some of the solutions, they're working to decrease pollution with the use of hydroelectric power. The Three Gorges Dam, we've talked about the dam. And when you build that and try and control nature, we have that HEI, or human environment interaction. There's a negative impact with that, though. The reservoir covers large areas of farmland and the displacement of many people who have lived there. And we saw that in the video. They lose their livelihood. They can't fish anymore. They've been forced out of the area. So looking at the environmental challenges, you have to think about where do the people live. And we know that the major cities are in locations outlined in blue. And we see that those are where forests have been destroyed, the darker areas where there's still remaining forest. So they're cutting down trees, and then the yellow areas, they have what's known as desertification, or the process by which fertile land becomes desert, typically as a result of drought, deforestation, or inappropriate agriculture. And then you also have issues with soil erosion, and then the rivers, the high risk of flooding, and we've talked about that. Flat land, the river's going to expand very quickly. The next slide is going to give you roughly a minute discussion on one of the solutions that they're working on to decrease the smog.
Densely populated cities tend to generate more energy and waste heat, resulting in a warmer environment than surrounding rural areas. Measures to curb pollution in Beijing have led to air quality improving only marginally. In 2015, the city had 186 days of up to par air quality, up 14 from 2014. To reduce smog, the capital is planning to build ventilation corridors. These are designed to relieve a city's heat and pollution by improving urban wind flow. The corridors will be created by connecting parks, rivers, lakes, highways, and small building blocks. 5 primary corridors, over 500 meters wide, will run from the northern suburbs to the south, Secondary corridors measuring more than 80 meters are also planned. Experts also suggest curbing the amount and height of city center buildings, as well as adding more green spaces.
So again, those entrance ticket questions that you need to have done prior to coming into class, knowing what a command economy is, being able to discuss what are two ways in which Hong Kong and Macau are similar, and then what is one way Beijing is trying to curb smog to improve air quality. Remember, those need to be submitted via Schoology, and we'll talk to you next time.